Let us explore the psychological case where people manipulate narratives to maintain their self-image. Now, they usually do this by distorting the truth to avoid cognitive dissonance. So, first off, cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort that arises when a person holds two conflicting beliefs or when their actions don't align with their beliefs. Now, this discomfort can lead people to justify, minimize, dismiss, or even deny their behavior, most especially their unfavorable behavior. And they do this to preserve their self-concept, especially when they view themselves as good people or morally upright. Now, this is very common among those who follow strict moral frameworks, such as religious principles, usually feel pressured to meet high moral standards. But because these standards are difficult to fully live up to, they may suppress parts of their true nature. Now, instead of admitting their imperfections, they reframe their behavior in ways that allow them to avoid guilt or shame. And you find them living in a constant state of denial about their true nature. Those people who are always like, oh, I'm a good man or I'm a good woman. Anyway, let me use like this conversation I had with someone as an example. Now, this person told a stranger that they lived alone, even though they did not. And they admitted later that they said this to make the stranger feel more at ease. Now, when I pointed out that they lied to the stranger, they refused to call it a lie. They insisted that it was merely an omission. This is where self-image bias comes in. That is the tendency to view oneself in a favorable light. Now, this person could not accept being labeled a liar because it clashed with their self-image of being a moral or good person. Now, after they shared this experience with me, I told them that I could relate because I sometimes lie to strangers too. Like sometimes when I'm bored and I meet somebody like I don't know this person, just to make the conversation interesting, I might just like create this whole narrative that is not true, just to entertain myself and probably to entertain them, Now, I was basically trying to show this person that I understand where they are coming from and why they did what they did, because I've done similar things before. But this person became defensive again. They did not want to identify with me on this. Like, now, this person sees themselves as morally superior. So the idea of me, somebody that they consider as morally inefficient, because I don't conform to the same strict standards they do and I don't share their belief system, they found it insulting. For me to compare myself to them. For them to be compared to me. Even though I'm way more transparent about my flaws. Like, look. And, I noticed that this is also very common with people in relationships, who avoid confronting their own contradictions. For instance, a man might withhold information from his partner about where he went to, and he will justify this by saying that the partner did not ask. But this is still a form of deception, known as concealment, Now, when someone knows a piece of information will be important to another person and chooses to withhold it, they are engaging in deceptive behavior. However, to avoid the negative label of being deceptive, these people rationalize their actions and say things like, she did not ask me, even though she did not know what to ask. Now, this brings us to the broader concept of denial as a defense mechanism. People usually deny facts or reframe situations to avoid confronting uncomfortable truths. Now, this form of denial serves to protect their self-esteem or self-concept, especially when their behavior does not align with their values. Like in this situation where this person kept saying how it was an omission and not a lie, when it's basically a lie, and they keep arguing and looking for how to justify why they did not lie. In many cases, especially in conversations with people where, you have different opinions, this type of people usually lack exposure to diverse perspectives or knowledge and are prone to denying facts as they may not have the tools or willingness to challenge their existing beliefs. Now, these are the same people who are always insisting that you show them proof of whatever they don't agree with, even when they are clearly ignorant about the topic or the situation. And even when you present them with hard evidence, they'll still dismiss it. Now, personally, I am learning not to indulge such behavior from people like this. Like, if it is that important for you to know this thing, go and do your own research. Because if you keep spoon feeding people like this, they will end up draining your energy unnecessarily because they're not even going to receive your information. Even if you're clearly, like, it is facts, like you're clearly showing them like this, they will rather stay in denial. Now, let's clarify the difference between honesty, transparency, and vulnerability. Now, it is really important to distinguish between these three concepts and understand them because a lot of people use them as tools of manipulation, especially those self-proclaimed good people. Like they will twist these ideas to justify their actions. I once came across this video where this man was explaining the differences, and that shit stuck with me, and it made me realize how important it is to really grasp this concept so you don't end up being manipulated by those who misuse them. Now, let's start with honesty. Now, honesty is simply telling the truth when asked. For example, if someone should ask you, did you go out last night? And you say yes, you are being honest. Now, honesty alone does not provide the full picture because it relies on the other person knowing the right questions to ask. And this is why it's not just about knowing the answers. A lot of times you also have to know the question to ask. The question is important. And a lot of people use that to manipulate because you don't know what to ask. So they manipulate by omission. Since you did not ask the question, then I will not give the answer, right? And the government uses this all the time to manipulate people because the citizens, most of the time, they don't know what to ask because a lot of them are not informed. Yeah. And that is why the government, this is not about government. This is not. Now, the second one, transparency. Now, transparency is a step beyond honesty. Transparency means that what you see is what you get. There are no hidden layers, but transparency is still limited because transparency only reveals what is visible or accessible. For instance, a person might seem open and straightforward, but there could be important aspects they are not revealing simply because the other person did not know to ask. Emotionally avoidant people are on this table. Yeah, people pleasers, passive aggressive people, because a lot of times what you see on the outside is not what they're feeling on the inside. So you might think that you and somebody are cool, because they are giving you things or they're always like, playing with you and all that. But deep down, they might be harboring hate for you for something that you don't even know that you did. So you see, transparency does not paint the full picture. It's also like the government that will tell you, oh, they're being transparent, they're revealing all their assets to you, and they will show you all their assets, all the income that they have. But it's a lie. They're only showing you the one that is registered. They're not showing you their slush funds. They're not showing you their secret money. They're not showing you their bank accounts in the Cayman Islands or in Panama. Again, let's stop with the government. Or it's like relationship, somebody might just have that demeanor. Oh, they cannot hurt a fly. They're so gentle and quiet. But you don't know that the person is a serial killer. Yeah? Because the part of themselves they're showing you is what they want you to see. So you're happy that this person is transparent, but they probably have two baby mamas somewhere that you don't know about. So you see now with honesty, transparency, you won't just wake up and come and ask the person, do you have a baby mama? Or are you a serial killer? I mean, I would ask though. Well, the third one is vulnerability. Now, this is the most difficult but authentic form of interaction. Vulnerability means proactively offering information that the other person would not know to ask about. It involves revealing hidden parts of yourself, even at the risk of being judged. Yeah. For example, if you went out last night while your partner was asleep, vulnerability would mean telling them, I went out while you were asleep, without waiting for them to ask or notice. Now, vulnerability is hard because it requires confronting your own fear of judgment and rejection. And a lot of people cannot do that. And this is why a lot of the times, I talk down on this whole patriarchal marriage system because it involves a lot of concealment, It involves a lot of dishonesty. Yeah. A lot of people don't know how to be vulnerable. And even when you want to be vulnerable, the other person probably has their own personal trauma that you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to tell this person I'm going to hang out with my friends. Yeah. But you know that this person will be jealous. So you're trying to cuddle this person's feelings by saying, oh, okay, you know what? Let me not tell them. That is messed up. First of all, you should not be managing other people's feelings for them. Yeah, you have to allow people to bust the fuck up and manage their feelings instead of infantilizing people and saying, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings. No, if it's something that you know deep within you that, it's not harmful, you're not going there to do anything harmful, why are you afraid to share it? And if someone like misjudges or doesn't believe you, then it's on them, it's not on you. Because what people do is they create their whole lives around deception. And it's mostly because they don't want to have to deal with another person's reaction. Because if you have a jealous person, this person does not like this thing, and then you tell them you want to go and do this thing, you don't want to deal with how they react. Then if you don't want to deal with that, don't do it at all. Since you have decided to manage their feelings, then manage their whole lives, then just don't do anything that will make you happy. Just sit down and bottle everything in until you burst because you are a balloon. And this is the main challenge with vulnerability, yeah? Many people avoid it because of fear. They fear how other people might see them, they fear judgment, and they even fear their own true nature. And this is where the idea of being non-judgmental, usually falls apart. People who claim that they don't judge others, yeah, they usually do. Yeah, it's just that they internalize those judgments. Now, being vulnerable means offering those hidden truths. Even when they're uncomfortable and letting people see you for who you really are. Authenticity. Like, I can never overpreach authenticity. It is so important to be authentic because that's why a lot of people feel the need to hide and be deceptive and conceal. because they're not authentic. Now, I'm not saying you should be like, you should not hide things, or, but it's like, this is the person you're living with every day. You should know where to put people on. This is the main person you're interacting with every day, the person you wake up next to, the person you get to see all the time. And that's the person that you're living in deception with, you're concealing, you're not vulnerable with. There's a problem. There's a problem, because that is the primary person in your life, or the primary people in your life are the people that you should be vulnerable with. But a lot of you is strangers that you'll never see again. Those are the people you just meet somebody out of the blues. You go and from a dump, you overshare with them. And that is your own vulnerability. And then you avoid the person. Because that's what a lot of avoidant people do, emotionally avoidant people do, is they meet like a stranger. They meet someone for the first time and overshare and trauma dump and pour all their problems because they've been bottling it up. Then the next thing is they're avoiding that person. Yeah, because they said too much, so they start to run away. Instead of going to meet the primary people in your life, and if the primary people in your life are not people that you can be vulnerable with, then I don't know what to tell you. There's a problem. There's a big problem. I don't know. Now, just to summarize everything that I've said, many people, particularly those who strongly identify with being a good person or morally upright, usually engage in self-deception and denial to protect their self-image. Now, this can lead to cognitive dissonance, where their actions do not align with their beliefs, and they manipulate the truth to resolve their internal conflicts. Now, true vulnerability, however, involves going beyond honesty and transparency, and it requires facing those fears head on.